Another video about Ranty's Blackpool Tower and the hills that are much further. This is a simple perspective. There's nothing complicated about this at all. The tower is much higher than the position wherever the cameraman was. And he's much closer to the tower than he is to those hills that are much further. That's why he can have an angle under the tower to the top of the mountain that makes it look like it's lower than the tower. There is nothing complicated about this whatsoever. This is so simple. The mountains aren't going over curvature. It's just simply ridiculous. Now what I'm going to demonstrate is that if you took this picture and pretended the observer moved further back a mile or two, further away from Blackpool Tower and the mountains or hills, the tower would then appear below the tops of the hills. You would see the hills over the top of the tower. Now, I've said this to several people in comments. One is MC Toon or McToon. Another one is a guy named Extra J. And then there's another one named Bearded Devil. And none of them seem to understand. Ranty doesn't understand because I've said it to him too in comments. But anyhow, I took a quick video this morning. As I was heading home, I took a different route home just so I could get some trees framed against the background of the coastal hills. Now the coastal hills by me are about 35 miles from the point where I do my video. And I'm going to have some trees. Now those trees in my video will be maybe, there's two particular trees you'll see. They'll be maybe 75 to 100 feet tall. But you know, you can't get the exact same thing here as Ranty, you know, because those hills were only, what's it, 2,400 feet high, the highest one. And my coastal hills are higher than that. They're 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So anyhow, but it'll still demonstrate exactly how perspective works. So also on this particular picture, if the observer was to move towards the tower, it would make the tower appear even higher above the mountain peak, because it's a taller object than the observer. So you would, the closer you get, the higher your angle to the top is. Now this is similar, that you see those two trees towards the center of your screen that stick a little bit higher than the other trees, and they're above the tops of the coastal hills, kind of like Blackpool Tower stuck up above those hills in Ranty's video. I took the whole video. I'm going to show it at the end just to show the whole thing, so there's no accusations of manipulation or anything. Now here on this picture, I just zoomed in the picture so you could see it clearer. I'm maybe 2 miles yet from those trees. That's just an estimation. I didn't do any measurements. It's not even necessary. This is just a perspective issue. Now you see those two trees sticking up higher than the rest. And this is when I first started my video. They're obviously below the mountain top. Now this picture, I'm further away, quite a bit further away than the picture I showed you just before this. So how does that work on a ball? Because I'm further away, but now the trees are below the tops of the mountains. The mountains are obviously above the tops of the trees. But if I'm further away, I should have had more curvature between me and the mountains. If anything, they should have been lower if it was a ball. But it isn't a ball, it's a flat earth. It's just angles, perspective. If the trees are closer to me than those hills, they're going to appear higher in the picture than the mountains. If I get further away from them, they will appear lower in the frame than the mountains. It's so simple, but I'm sure all the globe heads, like MC Toon or McToon or whatever they call them, FTFE, Ranty, just name them. Oh, like one who made a video with a model like Extra J or Bearded Devil, and Tommy Groenvold, who made the worst model of all of them. Well, anyhow, I'm going to show you the whole video from start to finish. The reason I reversed the pictures backwards is so you could see the end result compared to the starting result. It's just a way of reversing it. I zoomed in the video a little bit so you could see the trees a little clearer. I'm just going to be starting out on my drive. It's a little shaky. I'll try to keep it centered in the frame as much as possible. It's to the left of that tractor in the center. You can see the two trees that I've been showing. I'm going to try to keep them in the frame. And as you saw, they were below the tops of the mountains. But I'm going to move closer and closer. Now there's some parallax involved in this because obviously I'm moving sideways more towards, I'm getting closer, but I'm on a side road. The backdrop will actually end up being higher hills that you see on the left. So it actually makes my case even more. So as you can see now, it's starting to peak across some of those lower hills. But now it's going to go back below because we're getting to some taller ones. But by the end of the video, you'll see that I'm easily above these taller hills on the left-hand side, which I'm already above. All of this is just simple perspective. It's just angles, that's all. No big deal. Ranty never understood perspective, which is why he was always confused, which is why he went back to the ball. I'm sure all the globies will insist this isn't real, what I just showed, and that it's not the same thing, but it is the same thing. So simple. Just a few words more on this, these trees right here. Now from this point here, if I move straight back, the trees would drop below the level of the hills, and the hills would be seen above them. If I move straight forward towards the trees will appear even higher than the mountains do right now. It's just angles. It's all simple. Same thing would have happened in Ranty's picture, which wasn't Ranty's picture, but he used it. Whatever. Simple perspective, something globies do not get, even though they claim they totally understand it and that we're stupid and that we have flerspective. Well, I just demonstrated what you call flerspective. It's reality. I didn't have to use a model. I didn't have to make up a bunch of bull. It's just simple.